Industry announcements. So upcoming next week, a lot of people are leaving for GDC in San Francisco. So we have some companies at GDC. Kirsten from Invest Ottawa will be there. And I think it's going to be a really good display and celebration of the Canadian video game industry. So for those that are going, let's all meet up, and that's awesome you'll be there. And for those that aren't, we'll give you an update when we get back, and I'm sure it's going to be great. Also coming up, end of April, we have OIGC happening here in Ottawa. So I think that's the April 24th to the 26th.
I think you're right.
So Tara will be speaking, Lindsay as well. I think Evan, right? Evan? Anyone else speaking at OIGC? No, that's right. Yeah, so you can get your tickets online. It's going to be a good event. And in terms of other industry news, what's happening right now? It's an interactive announcement. There is a company here in Ottawa that is hiring. So James, if you want to stand up and do a shout out about what you're hiring for.
Hey guys, so for those of you who may not know, I'm from Next Big Thing Studios, and basically we specialize in mobile games that use the location-based services in your phone to create games that you play in the real world. You can approach each other, use the buttons on your phone to battle them, or actually use your phone to do remote to duel in the real world. It is badass.
It is badass. Yep.
And we're looking for someone, a Unity dev, who is interested in a short-term contract, followed by, if things go well, stay with the studio for a longer-term commitment. So if anyone's interested or know anyone that's interested, I'm going to be hanging out with the bar after. Thank you very much.
Nice, thank you. And I think that's pretty much it for announcements. Also, we have a visitor from Montreal. JC is visiting, so hello, JC.
Hi.
Hello, JC. Welcome to his first day in Ottawa today, and he almost got hit by a car. So we're very happy that I saved his life. I saved his life. Okay, so Girl Force. So it's an informal kind of talk. We're going to talk about how it gets started and what we're doing and where it's going. And so thank you all for coming.
Take it away.
Take it away.
I'm going to stand up so that people can hear me. Also, if you guys in the back more are having difficulty, I don't know what the sound is like in here, but if you guys are having difficulty, there's lots of room closer to the front, so we're not scary. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about Girl Force, and I think we should start off just by introducing who we are, how we've kind of come together to sort of build this initiative. So my name's Tara Phillips, and I'm art director at Snowden Studios. I'm super passionate about the game industry, and girls being in the game industry is pretty cool. So I'm going to sit down.
That's a good intro.
Yeah.
I'll stand. I'm Lindsay Slanghorn. I am, I'm a senior producer with Fuel. I have a game development background as well. I did a lot of console video games in my previous career path. I'm kind of moving into the field, but I was approached by Jason and Jillian a few months ago for Girl Force, and I was all about it. Super excited to get more girls into the industry, and that's what I'm doing.
I'm going to stay sitting. So I'm Jillian. I started in the video game industry about 5 years ago, sort of working in HR, and then I started doing a lot more externally in the industry. And one of the initiatives was definitely getting more diversity and females into the industry for sure, because it sort of helps everyone and helps the industry overall. And so I was approached a while ago by Jason, and it's actually funny, we had an IGDA meetup with one of our members. When was that? How long ago was that?
I can't even remember. It's like November or
6
something?
months ago? Yeah, so she was sort of talking about women in the industry and why it was important. Jason here had a couple questions about it, and I could see his wheels turning, but I didn't know why. And a little while after that, he's like, "Do you want to have lunch?" And I was like, "Yes, I love lunch." And so he was like, "So I want to start an initiative to help girls and bring them into the industry and make it more relevant." He's like, "So that's kind of what I want to do, and I kind of have some ideas. Do you want to be a part of it?" And I was like, 100% I do. And that's sort of where it started. But,
okay.
Well, yeah. And then from it's like we're rewinding,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We're
So I don't have to
rewinding.
say anything.
Yeah,
We didn't even mean to do that.
because I think I was the last one.
You were the last one, yeah. So start at the beginning.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Jason Nuyens. I'm just an indie game developer here in Ottawa, so I just make weird indie dev stuff
Make awesome games.
Awesome
weird
games.
Yeah.
stuff. I like weird stuff. Yeah, before I talk about like how this came to be, maybe I'll say what it is. Just so everybody's like got up to speed. What is Girl Force? Like, why are you even here? Like, what are you listening to us about? So, Girl Force is kind of a club-like class or group that's sort of like a community of women or girls or non-binary folks of all kinds who get together and learn how to make games. So the reason why I say club is because something we all agreed upon, which is that it's got to have a friendly atmosphere for this sort of thing where people can show up, make new friends, learn something cool, maybe get a new hobby out of it as well. And so that's the idea. That's like the mission. The way we're actually executing it is, does somebody else want to say how we're going to do this?
Tara has a checklist. She's so good at checklists, it's crazy.
I don't know about that. But, okay, so basically what the plan is of how we'd like to sort of run this program is that we meet once a week for 12 weeks, and we kind of start from scratch. The really important thing is that this is super approachable for people who know nothing. To be introduced to programming, what it takes to make a game, what the pipeline is like, the different things that kind of come into making a game, so the art side of it, the game design side of it, the programming side of it, the bug fixing and the joyous game testing side of it, and kind of the documentation side of it, and all those different sorts of things, and just slowly sort of just letting them dip their toes in everything, and then creating an environment where they can all support each other through this process. So as the hope is that as the weeks go by, they all kind of find their niches a little bit and start to collaborate a little bit more as well. So that's kind of what the goal is. And another big goal is we've basically created a game shell, or Jason has, because he's awesome.
Yeah.
So we have kind of a working game, and we're working in Unity. We're going to give them this game, and by the end of it, they'll still have a working game. It could be 20% their input and 80% the game that they were given to begin with. It could be 80% their game and 20% what we've given them. But the goal is that they have a functioning piece at the end of the sessions that they can show somebody and be like, I worked on this game. This is a thing that works that I can show people, and then kind of take it from there. So that's a really important segment for us, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So we start at the beginning of April 4th, and we go for 12 weeks. And we will be meeting at the CIRA building at Lansdowne, which is a super cool space.
It is.
I've
Has
only
anyone
seen-
been there before? To the Sierra building?
It looks down on the pitch.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is anyone using this building? Is what I want to know.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's a lot of people that are actually in the building.
Yeah.
I think they're at some of the first offices.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
It's like opening a great store and just never opening the doors. Like never letting people buy things.
Maybe they're being really choosy.
Right? That's a compliment then.
Yeah. So the next point that I kind of wanted to sort of segue into is why is this kind of program important for us or the industry?
You know what? I'll start with that. For me, and I'll kind of go back a little bit. So when I was sort of, in my 20s and getting into, work, I graduated, I started in the TV industry actually. And my view had always been, okay, well, women can always get ahead. If they're not getting ahead, it's because they're not strong enough. I had that view. And so I started to get into the entertainment industry. And it was fine. Everything was going really, really great. And it got to a point where I was starting to get promoted and get further along. And all of a sudden, and as cliche as it sounds, something happened, hit the wall. And I started to have colleagues or issues or things that came up. So when I started to get promoted beside male colleagues, there became tension and there was some cutthroat things. And I was like, holy crap, I literally didn't think that this really existed. I thought that this was a myth. And it's not that I think that, oh, males don't want females to succeed. I don't think that's the case. I think that there has been this systematic, issue where it's always been sort of the same kind of people that get ahead or in these roles, and something new and fresh is happening and diversity is happening, and maybe there's an issue. So going through this, it was kind of shocking to me. And I'm in HR, so I'd left TV and I started working in the video game industry, and for years and years and years, I'm in HR, and I'm like, okay, I have the power now. I'm able to hire, women, people that, diverse workforce. So I entered a company once, and it was, 99% of white males. And I was like, okay, well, we need to switch it up again. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get different people in here. It was very difficult to do that. I was trying to hire different people. I couldn't find them. Occasionally I would get them in. Sometimes they wouldn't stay. And I was like, what is going on? Why is this such a problem? And so for me, it was like years and years and years of doing this. And I'm like, it's because of early on, people are picking a different path. Some companies are very set in their ways. So it's not a quick fix. It's not like all of a sudden we need to hire more diverse people. It's changing minds and it's changing behaviors and thought patterns. And so this is the reason why I kind of wanted to get into this and why it's so important. And in those instances where there are teams where you are inclusive and you do bring in a diverse workforce, the team functions better, everyone sort of grows, productivity increases, like it's proven over and over. Just getting to that point is very difficult, but very important.
I think you're seeing some of the products developed as well when you're getting that diverse workforce. Is you're seeing that grow and seeing like that really expand into some types of products that maybe didn't exist before when you didn't have that diversity. So again, I think there's an importance there when you're getting more women in the industry. We're kind of bringing up that balance because we know statistically that exists. It's more male dominated. You're going to see a lot more just different perspectives brought to the table, brought to the teams, brought to the products that come out on the other side.
Yeah. Like if we were talking about teams where it was 99% one thing, whatever it is, it would be the same, right? It's when you have diversity, it leads to better products and teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for my part, that probably speaks like really large, a huge amount as to why I thought this was a great idea to get this started. I mean, something I see a lot like every day is that it's just like I'm surrounded by men like nonstop in the game industry, and like I like guys too. Whatever.
Men are great. Men are great.
Right, but I see this sort of insidious sort of structural problems around me, and it's like no one person usually, except for the bad apples, but like mostly there is not one person or whatever that's like trying to cause harm, but through building the structural like stuff around us, we've kind of let this happen slowly. So it feels like women are just not even invited to the table at all. And I mean, like you were saying, even if you do invite them eventually, it's too late at that point. Like like the damage has already been done long ago, like way back in high school, way back in whatever, like those sorts of yeah. Anyway, that's kind of where I'm going with that. So, but I mean, that speaks as to why I got this started to begin with and approached
Yeah, I was just
you
going to
guys.
ask you to kind of elaborate on that.
So,
Okay, so
tell us about the
Yeah, 'cause
the blossoming of the
So-
thought.
Because I don't think I've even heard this.
She has
entire
not heard the story.
yet. That's how like I
it's
kind
not
of
like a grand story or anything.
Oh no, I'm excited.
Okay.
I'm excited
Well,
too.
I mean, it's not that big a story again, but it's basically, like for years now I've been watching the sort of sister groups from other cities. So in Montreal there's Pixels. If anyone's not seen it yet, they're a group that's not unlike the one we're trying to build right now. And it's, women helping other women create games and get into the industry. In Toronto there's Dames Making Games, similar. And all of them are like slightly different, but all the same fundamental idea, which is like safe space. Like grant women a safe space they can come out, be themselves, be like love the things that they love, like when they're on their own and they don't have the ability to talk to anybody else about it. So I had like heard all about these things, and they've done so well in other cities. Like I'll just tell you one really quick anecdote. So I talked to Tanya Short in Pixels, and she's one of the co-founders over there. And, you know, I was talking to her, I was like, tell me about Pixels, like, what kind of stuff happens there? And the kind of stuff she tells me, I'm just like, this warms my heart just hearing this, like, forget everything else, like getting this started or anything. I was just like, I love hearing these stories. She's saying that, you know, the women she sees come into the program, we're now 4 years into Pixels now. The people running Pixels now were the first year who came through the program. So it's like, she doesn't even have to go to the classes. She doesn't even have to do the day-to-day anything anymore. Like, so,
I love that.
yeah, they're so jazzed when they come out of this stuff. They're like, it's almost like, I hate to use this cliche, but it's almost life-changing stuff. It's like, oh, I didn't even know this option was here. Like, I can't even believe I can make a game, or that this is a career path or a hobby or whatever, or a creative outlet. So yeah, so now they're running the course. She barely has to do anything, and it's like they're even more jazzed than she is because they're the ones that went through it and get to see the new students come through. So I was like, that sounds so cool. Why doesn't Ottawa have something like this? So this is where I kind of try to like plant the seeds of the idea in a number of people's heads, where I was just like, hey, that Pixels and Dave's making games stuff is pretty cool.
What do you think?
What do you guys think? And eventually, it
What did people say when you first brought that up?
Well, okay, I will say this: anytime this has ever been brought up, including Girl Force itself, it's met with, you know, like 99% positive reactions. Like, and that to me was the proof positive that this needs to start. And it's like, I think we've all seen it. You tell somebody about it and they're like, whoa, how come this wasn't done ages ago? You know, like, how come we didn't do this 10 years ago? So that was, to me, like, this has got to get started now. And I talked to Tanya Short at Pixels again, and I said, okay, let me give you a question, or like fire a question at you. How important is it that this is run by a woman? And like, this is a sensitive question. I get it. Like, this is a sensitive time. We're allowed to talk about like these weird.
We're in the safe nest
Yeah,
of the
this
tree.
is a fireside talk.
And she said it's very important, you know. And the reason why it's important is because of the power dynamics between genders, right? And like, I'm opening up like a cavernous topic here, but you can probably imagine what that means. It's just, you know, this dynamic that happens between men and women about like the implied power and control that men have with women. And right away I was like, yeah, you're right. You know, like, this needs to be women opening the door for other women. And it's when women open the door for other women that it sort of becomes, men don't hold the key anymore. Men aren't holding the key that unlocks your career or the rest of your life. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I just wanted to run it by her. So then I talked to Tanya, who is not here tonight, but she's also a member.
Yeah. At IGDA.
We actually did it at an IGDA, and
So Jason's sitting in the back, and he's like, can I ask a question? And with a group of people, and she kind of broaches this, and she calls him to the front to sit down and to play it out.
So Tanya's view, there's two Tanyas here.
Yeah.
Okay, so our Tanya, her view was, no, it doesn't have to be necessarily a woman leading a group, forget the word lead, it's not leading, but you know what I mean, like spearheading or something, some kind of initiative. And I disagreed. I disagreed with her. I think that women do need to run this kind of thing. You know, I'm conflicted, always conflicted, so I go back and I talk to Tanya at Pixels and I say, you know, I'm really kind of conflicted about this. I really want, like, change to happen in Ottawa. How do I get this started? And she says, you know, after thinking about it some, Jason, I think that doing anything is better than nothing happening at all. So I realized, like, okay, this is what I will do. I will give the boulder a little bit of a push down the hill, see what happens. And, like, that was not hard. I just, like, hey, Jillian, do you want to get started on something that's, like, helping women? And she's like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, why didn't we do this before? Like, yeah, like, and then everything, I can just step back and be like, yeah, okay, things are rolling now. Like, so that's kind of how this all came to be. And
But I love what a big part you're playing in it. And I think, like, my opinion, and you guys can chime in, I actually think it's great to have a male figurehead involved in this. I think it's great we're involved and we're leaders in the industry. I think it's great to have a male leader in the industry to show that it's not just women helping women, it's, yeah, let's all help together, it benefits us all. So I think it's amazing that he's involved and had this idea. Like, I think it's great that he's sitting up here and initiated it, but still staying at the forefront.
The power dynamic is not lost on me, though. Like, it is something I think about constantly, is that it is not my job to lead anything. It's my job to listen, and it's my job to like help facilitate. Like, if there's something I can help with, like, I think we can all agree that being helpful is a good thing, necessarily, right? But it's like, it's only if it becomes insidious and if you're like there for the wrong reasons, or if you're like not ready to step back when it's like, no, women need to like have the voice. They need to have the stage. They need to, anyway. They had it, okay, one of the reasons this all comes up is because Pixels apparently had a problem with this before, where like men were involved, which is okay, except that men also had a not political, sorry, like ideological problem with certain things that come up, because of, maybe they're like, wait, what is feminism or something, like I don't understand how they could make it that far and not like think about these things. But like, let's just say they get blindsided by the F word. But like, I don't understand how they can make it that far. I'm just gonna say that. But like, let's just say that is a big problem. Now you have a man, part of an organization, who is supposed to be helping women, and like unfortunately now they're a doorstop and maybe even getting in the way. So anyway, all that to say, it's not lost on me.
One thing that was interesting to me very quickly is when last time I was in Montreal, actually it was during Meg's, so before, I went to a Pixels presentation and it showed what the women had done and helped each other and presented. And somebody in the audience said, well, what happens if a man contacts you? And this is something we've talked about a lot. What happens if a man contacts you and wants to help? And they said, we're not going to answer that. And I'm assuming it's because of whatever had happened or whatnot. And I think that our approach in terms of like everyone should take part and we don't turn anyone away, I think that's very important. We manage that appropriately, but I actually found that was really interesting when they just shut that down completely. And I was like, no, this is an open conversation. We need an open conversation with everyone.
Did they say all men, or did they say haters?
They said men.
Okay.
But it could have been like a quick answer in sort of that forum, but I could see how that could be misconstrued, right? And so I really love the approach that, we don't turn people away or whatnot.
Actually, the not turning people away is something you've been a big proponent of, Lindsay.
Yeah,
I do, and I think that there's a lot of people can be involved at a lot of different levels with Girl Force as well. Like, we have the spring session coming up, which we are targeting a particular group that people of similar skill set that we can they'll get more out of the course, but there's so many more levels really involved, and I don't think we should be turning people away. I mean, we need help, volunteers, mentors. Guys or girls, there's a lot of, it's about knowledge sharing, it's about instilling that sort of expertise into new people and really getting that moving. So I definitely want it to be something that is open to everybody at some level. We want people to join our Facebook page and our Twitter feed, and we're going to have blog posts. Once we get the classes going, we want to post each week what our resources are that we're focusing on. So people aren't part of the class, maybe you'll get something out of it. You'll see new resources and links that people can share around. There's definitely opportunity to be involved with Girl Force at many levels and open to everybody. Yeah. Yes, I am a big proponent of that, and I think that just brings that much more value to the program. So.
Yeah, so I think that also segues really well into sort of where do we see this going. Right now we're just kind of focusing on getting through this first session because we've never done this before. And I mean, some of us on the board have teaching experience, and that's great. But this is like a whole new can of worms. So we want to get through this first session, but after that point, with the examples of Dave's Making Games and Pixels, and seeing things kind of snowball into this sort of self-sustaining movement, what do we want to do with that, and how do we want to sort of build a future and sort of diversify the program? Does anybody want to talk a little bit about like future plans or what we'd like to do?
Yeah, I'll start with that, and then people can carry on. But I think, we're going to learn a lot from this first session. I think we want to make sure that we do learn a lot from this first session. There's going to be things that work and some things that don't. So it's up to us to sort of watch out for that and try to improve and make it better. I love the idea of, you know, people coming back. So it's not a one-time thing. You don't take the class and disappear. It's like, take the class. Maybe you're coming back next time to help out other people. Maybe you're, you know, joining the group, posting new tweets and new things on the blog each week, or sharing those resources. We want to keep meetups going as well. So we're doing our meet and greet coming up next Monday to kick off spring session. But ideally, we keep that going, you know, every so often, and that's for anybody to come out for. So I think there's an opportunity for that to evolve. Same with the applicants. So, you know, we weren't sure when people started applying what skill levels we would get, level, you know, experience level, skill level, all of those things. So we are going to try to target the first session to a group with a similar need or similar skill set, but you know, there's opportunity to, hey, the next one, here's this group of people that was interested that's really way more advanced. They want to make like this way more advanced game than the, you know, the small Unity what we're doing. There's an opportunity for that too. So yeah, I mean, it's going to grow, and I think it's up to us to sort of to learn from this and keep it evolving, and we'll be open to feedback from people that are a part of it as well.
Yeah, and something else that we've talked about, I've actually been approached by a couple of people who have said, you know, what's your sort of age target for this program? I have a daughter who's 10, and she's really interested in, you know, learning how to make games and working with technology. And like, it surprised me for a second, and then I was like, oh wait, my like 2-year-old nephew can run an iPhone without even like knowing. So that makes sense, right? That younger girls are gonna want to maybe learn these things earlier, and it's a great time because they haven't been told no yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So that's like super exciting to me. So we would really like to, again, seeing how this all goes, it would be really great if we could do something like a shorter series of Saturdays or something like that, where we can do things with maybe parents or whatever, where they can come in and start learning the basics as well. So like that really excites me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How are the applications looking that are coming in? Like, what are the girls saying in their
they're,
comments?
they're good. Yeah, I don't want to say. I was just about to say a couple of things, and I realized there might be a couple in the audience or something. Okay, well, maybe not. Shouldn't say too much, I guess. But
Okay.
But yeah, no,
Are they mainly
they're
like
very
beginner
positive,
or
really positive, and
Yeah.
like people seem really excited. You know, my girlfriend came to me the other day, and she said, you know, somebody I know is applying for the course, and she, you know, I think she might even be nervous that she won't make it in. And I was like, that's cute. I mean,
Are most people beginners? I haven't read the applications yet through, like,
I think
beginners
there's a mix.
or
There's a mix. I mean, this is something that I think we're all concerned about, is like, and something I think all of you can help with, and I want to get to that too, is like, how does community help in this? And I think it's massive. Like, the people who are sitting up here, this is just the tip of the iceberg to how to get this rolling. Like, the community is what's going to find the people who love technology or games or whatever, or math or science or whatever, and put them in a club where they can thrive. And we can't find them on our own. Like, we just can't. We're trying. Like, and we're doing a good job. I think we're doing a really good job finding some already. But, I mean, imagine, like, there's a little girl in Orleans or something like that. She hasn't seen our flyer or whatever.
Right.
And you guys are going to be the ones that are going to find her and, like, bring her to this. So, to me, community is, like, nearly everything about this project. I mean, we're all volunteers. The community of people telling their friends and their mothers and their, you know, everyone about this are volunteers and helpers. So, I don't know. That was a horrible segue into that.
It was
like,
good though. It was inspirational.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Yeah, that's good. I do have a note here of one other thing that we've talked about for future, just to kind of like go back to that, and then we'll come back to you.
We'll double back.
Yeah, we'll just do a little, switch back. One other future thing that we've been talking about that we're really excited about is the idea of possibly partnering with post-secondary education and putting together for like the best producer of the session, maybe putting together some sort of a scholarship program, or sending them to, say, like OIGC or something like that to show their game, to really like reinforce and empower that positive feedback of like, yeah, you did something super awesome, and you should, be showing this to people, and you should be rewarded for the work that you've done and what you've put into this product. So that's another thing. Again, we do definitely rely on the community to kind of put us in touch with like different people or ways that we can make these kinds of things happen. I mean, we have through who we know here, like just the people that are on the board, like we know a lot of people, but anybody that you can think of that can help in any of these things, like, if it has to do with somebody who's going to take on the website or like, take over social media for us, or like help support by like coming and, doing a short film or something, or, all of those kinds of things in any way that they want to be involved, we're totally open to that and would very much welcome any kind of input.
Yep.
And I think, we were talking earlier, but when we get going with the sessions, we're going to have, one or more of us are going to be leading those sessions each week. But it'd be also really great to have people, amongst the girls able to help support them if they need help with Unity and they can't find, something even at that level. If you can only spare one session of the 12, like anything like that is going to be really helpful. So we are going to be reaching out to people to see if there's interest there to come in and just support the girls as they learn.
Do we have the volunteer sign-up sheet up on the website yet?
Not yet.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, we can.
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
Can I say that?
Yeah.
Can we do it tomorrow?
Yeah, Julian just said it.
Tomorrow.
So it's
It'll be up tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's happening.
End of day. That's a
Yeah,
good
so-
point to make, though. For sure.
Yeah, so we will have a sign up on the website for people who want to volunteer, and there will be places to sort of say like, I want to help with this kind of thing or this kind of thing. And we had been talking about possibly having some kind of a calendar where if you want to just help at one day, you can say that is the day that I want to help for, and I'm just going to float around because you guys are talking about art this class or
Yeah.
something like that, and I can be a part of that because I can, I have input on that or whatever. So it doesn't have to be like a full 12-week commitment either, which is
Yeah,
great.
that's a lot. Yeah.
It's just nice to have extra people around that can help field questions and things like that as well. So, yeah.
Did Jason have any more vision he wanted to share?
No, but I actually just remembered a great anecdote. So I've been talking to themes making games and Ladies Learning Code is another one that's kind of nationwide.
Are they here?
They're no, they are here.
Yeah,
Yep.
they have a chapter.
Yep, they are here.
Okay.
We even thought about maybe doing Ladies Learning Code as as sort of being partnered with them, I guess. But then we decided ideologically speaking, sometimes it's best to just have your own thing that you can control. And it's nothing's going to be messing this up because we control it and whatever, that kind of thing. But I heard a great anecdote while talking to ladies. Wait, I'm mixing this up. No, Damon's making games. All these names.
Code ladies' names.
Jillian. No, so they were saying, they're running their group sort of like a club as well. So for them, they don't run classes like a semester. They don't run Damon's making games. They don't run it once a week like what we're doing. But they do a whole bunch of sessions where it's once a month they're going to have some kind of boot camp on how to make a game with whatever, Game Maker or something like that. But one of the coolest things they saw, and they did not expect this, were girls and women and lots of trans and non-binary people came in, and for the first time they found friends that had similar interests to them in real life. Not online, but in real life. And this was something, even I had to stop and think about this for a second and realize that I'm so privileged to be a guy who can just be I play Pokemon and whatever, and nobody bats an eye at that. Well, okay, maybe they make fun of me sometimes, but it's not even a big deal.
Right, yeah,
right?
exactly.
But things are changing. I don't want to sound like they're not changing, and pretty rapidly too.
Yeah.
But women don't always have that luxury. They can tell their girlfriend they're going into a science class, and they might get weird looks, or I don't know. I don't even want to say I know what it's like or whatever. But I'm just saying the stories that came out of this were that they finally found people in real life that they could talk about whatever, like this cool sciencey thing that they love, and suddenly they made like friends for life, basically,
Yeah.
from this. So to me, that's why I think the club atmosphere is like imperative to this. Like, you're not just there to learn and spit out like a worker. Like, no, you're there to just have fun as well and like meet
Be
new
yourself
people and be
and-
yourself for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've actually been thinking about that, and not necessarily having to do with like women in the game industry, but just in general. Something that I think why I really love the game industry is because like I go
Ooh,
to
that's a
work.
good next question.
Yeah, I go to work and I work with all these people that basically live in the same space that I do.
Yeah.
Like they have like a lot of the same hobbies, and if there's like something that I know about that somebody else doesn't know about and I talk about it, like I don't feel like they're gonna judge me for like, yeah, I played D&D, or like I decided to rewatch all the Star Treks again, like
Yeah.
from the start, or whatever.
It makes you cooler, actually.
Well, but even if they're not interested in that, I don't feel like
Right.
they're judging me for having that joy. I was thinking about this because my husband works in like business, like this whole other thing, in this office environment, and we were just talking about like people making friends at work, and how it's sometimes really hard for people to like bond with the people that they're thrown together with. So if you think about like schools, especially if like all you've been doing is just like school all the time, like you're stuck in a group of people that you didn't get to really choose, and they may not be like you at all. So having these environments where you can like get together with your people is like pretty awesome. Just your analogy of just like, reminded me of this thing that I had been thinking about. But I want to know why everybody else is in the industry.
It's a good question.
I'm one of the math geeks, I guess. I have started into the math degree and got recruited by somebody to do computer science, which I had never, I didn't even know existed to me, which is another reason why I love organizations like this, because when I was coming through, I had no idea that was even a possible career path. So yeah, I was big into math, and someone was like, hey, you should try coding, and I ended up finishing my degree in computer science and went from there. And the game industry just was like I was also somewhat creative, and it was just like a really great way to apply a whole bunch of different disciplines. So you can push technology, but it's like a really creative atmosphere as well. You get to work with some really great, interesting people. And at the end of the day, you have a really fun product that people actually like to use and like to play. So yeah, that's why I love it.
Did you ever feel out of place or feel like
I was the only female.
Yeah, okay.
I think when I graduated university, I was the first female coder that my first job at a university was with the game studio in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
And I was the first girl they had ever hired.
Did you feel, were you proud of that, or were you awkward?
No, I was excited. It was slightly awkward. It was actually funny. The manager, the tech director at the time was this British man who kept saying "gents" all the time. He's like, "Okay, gents." Like,
Oh my gosh.
Gents. This is like every day. And
Lady on deck.
I was like, okay. It was just funny. It didn't bother me at all. And he always be like, "And lady, and lady, and lady," and it was kind of funny for a while. But no, I got used to it pretty quick, and I was excited. I mean, going through university was the same. There's not a lot of females in it, so I think it's nice. It was great, and what was really great actually is like through that process and towards the end, we had a lot more coming in, which is really, really great to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. You do feel a little bit out of place. It's a little bit intimidating at first, especially that was my first job at a university. So yeah, it's going to be intimidating, but yeah, you just learn to go with it. And I think once you realize that there's things that you're bringing to the table that no one else has even considered, then you start to be like, oh, like no, you can like hold your ground and feel comfortable contributing.
Yeah.
I think once you get past that hurdle, it's like a huge. Yeah.
Did you feel like an ambassador for like women in the industry?
Yeah, I did. I definitely did.
Nova Scotia.
And I did something similar. It's called Techsploration in Nova Scotia, and it's actually similar. It's all for girls in high schools, and it's almost like a career fair sort of deal, but you do workshops. And I actually started bringing some of the games for workshops there, and I did enjoy it. And you did see people graduating that would come back and say like, hey,
Aw.
like I'm taking this in a college course or doing whatever I'm doing. So it is, yes, and I think that just feeds the enthusiasm to continue to be an ambassador and get involved in things like this. So.
I got into the game industry. Like I said, I was working in TV beforehand, so I wanted that creative, fast-paced environment. And I found in TV there was a lot of egos and cutthroat. I don't like that. I didn't like that kind of environment, so I was kind of looking around, and then I found the video game industry, which I found was like, I used to be a big gamer growing up, love games, I love creativity, I love geeks, and I was like, oh my god, this is perfect. And so I found it, and I was like, I will never work in another industry, and I still believe that. For sure there's challenges, but I don't think they're malicious. I think they're just obstacles to overcome. And so 100% will be in this industry forever. Like, I find it, like, every day is different. And another thing that I love about it is if you have, the will and desire, you can change the industry and you can make a difference and affect a lot of people. And I think that's such an amazing feeling. So, yeah, so that's definitely why I'm in it.
These are great stories.
Top them.
How did I not hear some of these before?
We're all, like, we've never met before.
Wait, you're looking at me?
Your turn.
Yeah,
It's your
you're at the end of the row, so you gotta finish.
Yeah, I think, okay, I got into games. I like games, but I got into games mostly as a creative outlet. Like, I originally was doing web development and stuff like that, and then I realized, like, there's a part of me that just wants to make cool stuff, and like, I was never able to draw or paint or whatever growing up, but I always had these fantastic worlds and whatever in my head. I could never get them out. And then I realized, like, oh, I've got, I know how to use digital things, and I can use that as my canvas. And so growing up, I started to tinker with computers and make little games and stuff. And then the adults in my life were like, no, you got to get a job and make money. So I was like, oh, I'll do web development, I guess. But then I came back into games, and I agree with Jillian in the, like, once you're in, you're just like, yeah, I can't imagine doing anything else. Like, this is awesome. So, I mean, yeah, I was about to go down the whole indie development is amazing route, but, also big game studio development's great too. We love you, big heads.
They're watching us right now.
Yeah.
Everyone look up. They're watching us.
So, does anyone have the time? Just
Yeah, I want to leave
time
some room
check?
for questions.
Quarter
Yeah,
two.
Oh,
quarter
it's-
two. Okay, so we're going to open up the
Yeah.
floor to any questions that you guys have at all, hopefully related to like what we're talking about up here.
Close,
But
anywhere
anyway,
close.
it's up to you. If anybody has any questions, we're happy to try to answer them. Yeah.
I've been handling outreach. Have you gotten a lot of people just applying from the website, or have you had to go out and try and find applicants, or how's that gone?
Oh, you said outreach?
Outreach?
I heard outrage. How do you handle outrage? That's a whole
There
separate
actually
question.
hasn't been any outrage yet, which I expected a little bit. In terms of outreach, and you guys can jump in, I was actually surprised. We were like, here's our site, and all of a sudden it was like the Metro, and all these people are like, talk to us, and interviews, and it was like, holy crap. And in terms of like industry support, there was support from all over. And so like people would hear about it and reach out to us in a way I've never seen before. Like I used to do, events or, like a game release for a studio. And I actually have not seen this kind of response coming in, which shocked me. So we're doing outreach, but we're getting a lot of positive response from kind of all areas, which I'm still shocked about, which is amazing. But
We don't even have to do anything, really.
we don't do anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just feeding off of that, I just want to get a sense of sort of who is driving this, what is the goal,
Yep.
what do you hope to achieve after this? Like if you can ideally recruit a bunch of women and girls to do this, do you hope to help them get a job or get into the industry?
Right.
Like in terms of industry support, like what would be the outcome after?
Do you want to do that or?
Okay, well, that sounds like a bunch of questions all at once,
I
but
just want to kind of see if
Answer them in order.
okay. Part A. Well, I will say, like, the output of this, I would love it if it's just like a mixture of people who find a brand new hobby or something, and people who are like, you know what, I'm the perfect age to be applying for university courses for computer science. This is what I want to do, How many people really get to university and college and know 100% what they want to do. Like very few. Like most people get there and like, I don't know, I'll take accounting or something. Like,
Oh, so many people.
Business
right
101.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take business because that
Writing
seems like
that
a thing that should happen.
yeah, and that too. But there are also a lot of people even who have their first career and they're like, but I also need a creative outlet and I play games and I think this is fascinating and so it's really hard to say output is going to be this. I think output is going to be like a whole mixture of people who find what they're looking for.
And I think too, in terms of, from my point of view, the creative outlook, yes, but I actually think it's going to be an avenue for a lot of people to realize that they want a career in this or in something along this and sort of open up brains. And in terms of, what we're all doing, we're all kind of doing different things like, we're the mentoring, the planning, the curriculum, the outreach, the press, the infrastructure, the website. We're all doing these different things. But we're also getting, moving forward, we're going to get help and we're going to start doing them better. But also in terms of growth, there could be a lot of growth. For example, Microsoft is very interested in talking to us and supporting this, whether we do that or not, but that could be a lot of exposure, a lot of funding, in terms of logistics or technology to make it bigger and better. So I'm kind of looking at it like the sky's the limit. I hope to open a lot of doors for women, open a lot of brains for everyone sort of thing. So, and also get a lot of help so we're all doing what we're doing better is kind of how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, and I think the fact that there are a number of women who are working professionally in the industry right now that are running these courses will also sort of help to show that there is an industry here. There are women who are professionals that are working in this industry, and that down the road, you're making contacts with people who can talk about you to other people in the industry, right? So it's kind of to support that process as well, because it can be very intimidating to even come to things like dirty rectangles or other outlets that already exist in Ottawa for the industry is very male dominated, and I've heard numerous times that it is very intimidating for girls to feel like they can kind of be a part of that and take that on. So this is just another outlet for that to happen and keep the wheels moving.
Yeah. You just saying that, the Dirty Rectangles. Dirty Rectangles is an indie game group here in Ottawa, and the first couple of times I went there, I was the only girl, and it's very loud and boisterous, and it's exciting for me, but I can see it being intimidating. But what I really, really loved is recently I kind of reached out to them about what we were doing, and Dirty Rectangles shared this to their group, and you were there talking about it, and they were like, this is one of the best initiatives to come out of Ottawa in a long time, and that really meant a lot to me and probably you guys, to have that support from a place I didn't think it would come from, to be honest, was very rewarding. And so we're hoping to pass on a lot of knowledge and blah, 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 but we're also learning things too, right? Which I think is great.
Yeah, I'm not trying to speak badly about the community that has been built here already. I think it's super fantastic, and I love coming to these events and things like that. I'm not trying to put it down at all. It's just mostly for somebody who's super fresh and doesn't know anybody and is walking into this room that looks like it's just a room full of dudes.
In the basement.
It can be difficult, right?
We should recreate that one day for how would you handle this?
Where it's a room full of women.
And we'll put Jason in.
Yeah, I don't know. Do some role playing.
I like that idea, actually.
I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway,
Question.
What age range are you targeting?
Oh, that's a great question.
Super great question.
Yeah.
We're starting with, I think we want to, obviously it's so important to start at sort of an age where people are picking sort of the direction they're going to go into. And I think we're sort of in that high school age right now that we're going to start with, 15, 16 area. You know what I mean? They're in high school, they're starting to pick where they're going to go. So I think that's a really great place to start. But I think that we want to look at all ages, though, for sure. Younger, stay-at-home moms. You know what I mean? People of all ages, I think would be fantastic. But we're starting at about 15, 16.
15 plus is kind of what we're,
Yeah.
So it's, kind of bringing that.
Yeah, we've gotten applications kind of 15 to 25-ish.
Yeah.
In that general age range, which is a pretty manageable group
Yeah.
to work
Especially
with.
if they're in a similar skill set, for
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
So the idea behind the 15 plus was basically we wanted to have our very first class and semester be with people who can manage email, maybe social media, maybe do Twitter or whatever, be slightly responsible, and maybe some homework, like these things should not be brand new to them, especially if it's also our first time kind of running
Yeah.
this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, maybe in the future we were thinking like, we want to help people of all ages. So if, 9-year-olds really want to do a workshop of some kind, sure, we can probably do that. It's just like, yeah, it's probably best to
Figure out
start with
what
people who are like responsible, they really want to get things done, they know how to use email and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what would the classes kind of look like? Is it
Good question.
1 hour, 5 hours? Are they lectures?
2 hours right now that we have this space, and the thought is to do, I don't want to say lecture because it's going to be a little more informal learning,
Yeah.
but yeah, mentoring, but we'll do a little more structured learning at the beginning of the class, and learning something new, a new lesson, a new theme for that class, and then use the rest of the class actually for some open workshop time where they can actually work on their project that will be continually being developed for the entire course. So we use the second half of the class to let them do that. They can work with others. We'll be there to mentor and help them out actually, like with them at their computers. And so it's a bit of a mix. People have different learning styles. We want to keep it as open, flexible as we can, but give the guidance that they need to sort of run with it.
Yeah, something else about what those classes look like and why we think it's probably more appropriate to target the age group that we're targeting right now is because we right now require that people have their own laptops. If there are people that don't have a laptop, we're going to do our absolute best to try to accommodate them.
Absolutely.
But it would be best, especially for like if you're going to work outside of class, to have a computer that you can work on and bring a laptop that can run Unity. That's kind of the requirement. So that might change if, Microsoft wants to give us a bunch of
Exactly.
computers or whatever.
Absolutely.
that would be great and
Yeah.
awesome. So if anybody knows of anybody who needs to,
Yeah.
give us a bunch of free stuff, that's awesome. But yeah, so for right now, it is a requirement to have a laptop. So that's the other thing. Yeah.
I feel really awkward asking this question.
I love it already.
Are you targeting girls, young women who already love gaming?
Not necessarily. No, not at all. Maybe they might even just hear about that and be like, okay, maybe it's something that I want to test out and see. Like, when I was in high school and I would hear about, oh, there's a position on the high school paper, or hey, there's a rugby tryout. I don't know if I like it. I'm going to go and find out, and then maybe that will lead to a lifelong passion, for sure. But I think that's kind of like maybe they already have the desire, but maybe we'll sort of bring that up in them, and if they want to come and try it out, maybe they'll hate it, but maybe they'll love it, and otherwise they would not have found that out.
Yeah. Yeah, and the fact that like this isn't a program that costs anything, so you don't have to like pay a tuition up front or anything like that, or like pay as you go or whatever. You come, and if you hate it after the first 3, then you don't have to come back, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Or if you kind of show up halfway through or whatever, like, or you can bring a friend 1 week or whatever, right? So there's no like sort of formal, this is a course, this is the start and the end, and you have to pay for it or anything like that. So we're really trying to keep the barriers as low as we possibly can.
Good. I think.
In-
Oh,
in
last
your-
question by JS.
Yeah, in your dream vision, how would you like the industry to support you? What would be your request?
It's a great question.
For the future or for right now?
Both?
Well, for right
That's
now.
2 questions, JS.
For right now, basically we're solidifying the curriculum hopefully this weekend. Everything will be planned out. And there will be certain weeks that we may require an expert to come in. So if there's people who want to teach on a specific thing, being able to sort of fill those gaps in our collective knowledge would be really useful. Or even just coming in to help facilitate, so to be that person that kind of walks around and answers questions while other people are busy answering other people's questions. And it's going to be a lot of ramp up, especially in the first number of weeks. So having that kind of support would be really great as well.
And I think even some of the like the meet and greet, some of our other meetups, like it's great to have people from the industry there, and
Yep.
some of the people that maybe they're not doing the course, they just want to see what we're all about. I mean, the more exposure they can have to people in the industry and kind of knowledge share is fantastic. I mean, it's just great to have people come out and support us, support kind of what we're trying to do, and support the girls that are going to be, you know, they're the ones learning. So yeah.
Something that we've talked about quite a bit actually is that while we really do want the support of the industry, we also want to kind of keep a little bit of an arm's length distance away from like saying that we are affiliated with any particular company or studio in Ottawa. It's not necessarily about that. It's just about having an organization where it's free of that kind of like label or whatever. So.
And that's important, right? Like, we want support from all, but we don't want to host all of our events at one studio or whatnot, because that could just sort of be perceived differently. We want to be our standalone, supported by all studios for sure, because it's important, rather than sort of linked to one.
Yeah, and having said that, I guess, even though we're trying to keep an arm's length, I mean, there's a reason why we're trying to run it at CIRA instead of an actual game studio, is for that reason.
Yeah.
It's just be like, we're not going to be under the same roof as another game studio. We just want to make sure everybody knows, like, this is a completely pure operation
like a
here.
recruitment program.
Yeah.
It's like when you take a cooking class at a restaurant. They're going to think you're going to go work at that restaurant.
But
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Great analogy.
That was it. I'll think of another one later.
But having said that, I realize now we didn't even mention corporate sponsorship, which is something we're working out right now. We're like finalizing what people, either corporations or individuals, can do to help out even financially. There are going to be little expenses already. Like, there are little expenses coming up and things that
You're taking care of those, right?
I thought you were. But yeah, you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So money still does help. I mean, like, this is luckily there's not a lot of overhead for this sort of thing, but we can bring this places that we couldn't before if there is some kind of financial support there.
Yeah, but again, because it is all volunteer, if we grow to a certain size where we can't just be doing this in our spare time, like, we're all pretty busy people, being able to pay for somebody to sort of just run it, like run the business side of it and coordination of it, that would be a thing that we would really like to have eventually as well. Did we answer your question?
I think we have one more question.
I was just curious, compared to, I haven't really looked at like how Pixels works or how running games works, but is it standard in terms of like bringing your own device, like having to bring your own laptop, or like is there ever, do other clubs have like a membership fee? Like, is that considered that? Like, by having like a really small membership, then it could help the club grow in a different way instead of having to look for corporate sponsorship.
I mean, I think that's a great idea. I think we kind of want to approach it like, hey, it's free because we really want to pass it on. Like, as soon as people see a price tag to something, they think that you're trying to make a profit, when that's so not what we're trying to do. Something that worth considering. I think the other organizations, definitely in the beginning, required people to bring their own equipment. Is that right?
Yeah, Pixels still requires people to bring a laptop. However, the thing is that they usually run one-day workshops, whereas we're running a whole semester. So, like, one thing we were saying is, like, if somebody just absolutely cannot bring a laptop, we're gonna find a way. I'm gonna give them mine or something, like,
we would hate to ever say no to anyone.
Yes. For 1 day a week. I mean, like,
we'll figure it out.
We can make things happen if they really need to.
Yeah.
But I had a random thought. The library has netbooks. I think you get.
Can you just take them out?
Yeah.
Could Unity
I'm not sure if
run on this?
netbooks would run
Unity? Can
We'd
you
have
look
to
into
look
that
into
for
it.
us?
It's an
We have our first volunteer!
It's not a happy deal.
Oh, it says okay.
Oh.
All right.
The moment you get in 3D and the editor and the ID running out of Mono Developer.
Okay.
Okay.
And the atoms can't really keep up.
Okay.
That was a good point though.
Nico.
Beyond, you mentioned corporate sponsorships, but like beyond awareness and the 12-week program, like, what are your goals for the first year of Girl Force? Like,
People to show up.
Yeah, honestly, people
Support,
like that's
making a difference.
You are kind of joking, but it also
No,
is,
it's totally
that's kind of
true.
true. No, really, like just finding people. Like if we can just
They're out
find
there.
the people and get them out here, I feel like we've made a difference.
Yeah.
What can your community do?
Oh, I see. Kind of like share it around. Yeah, I mean,
Share and support.
a little bit of a
SMS.
combination of everything we've talked about, I guess.
Yeah.
Like come
Yeah.
out to community events. Like go tell every like friend, your mom, your your sisters. Like
Your dad and your brothers, Jason.
yeah, we better see all your mothers out there.
At the very least, sign up for the newsletter and stay informed about it, because
Twitter, Facebook, like
yeah.
follow, like getting that following, and that's what gets the message out. Because when we push the message out to all of you, you know, it keeps going. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and the other thing is, it's really hard for us to say like what we want it to be in a year, because our hope is that it grows in a way that suits the people that are coming in. So if we find that there's a certain way that we need to teach, or something that we need to change about what we're doing to better suit them, then that's what we're going to do. It's not that we have like a 5-year plan of like this is exactly what it's going to look like in 5 years. We have no idea.
We probably all have a different kind of
probably.
vision. I know Tanya's is like, we are running the world.
Yeah. I'm so sad that she wasn't able to be here tonight, because I feel
Tanya's like the person, like our member that's like, in 5 years we will actually run the female population of the world. And she's probably right.
she's awesome. So I think to answer that question in like a very kind of ethereal way is like our goal for this year is to listen, to see what we need to do, and then try to facilitate that. So I really liked how you had said that at the very beginning of like, my job is to listen and to facilitate, and I think that that's what we're, that's our job.
So on that happy note, thank you all for coming. We're actually going to be heading over to Monkey Joe's right in here, the pub, and we're all going to have a drink and network and share a little bit more. You guys want to come?